Oh, dude, I screwed that up. Hello, friend. Are you with me? My name is
Yes, I
Gary
am.
Buechler. I come to you from nerdrotic.com. I am live in San Francisco, California, and I'm with the other aspect of my personality. He's a foot shorter and he's Greek. His name is Dennis Bithoulkas. What is up, my friend?
Hello, friend. I'm glad you're with me. Are you still there? Okay, this is
We,
really damn hot. So
yeah. That was bad. That was bad. Welcome
yeah,
back,
it was.
everybody. We are live on our Nerdrotic channel. I'm going to wait. Oh, we got a viewer. That's good. Again, my name is Gary Buechler. I come to you from nerdrotic.com. We are live in San Francisco, California, down in San Diego. He is not a foot shorter than me, but he is Greek. His name is Dennis. What is up, Dennis?
Yeah, not that much. How about you?
I'm good. Very excited to be covering Mr. Robot. You know, we meant to do this, and then I got I got uncomfortable with the show. I'm a grateful recovering addict, and there's a lot of drugs in this show. And
A lot of drugs.
the fourth episode, when he was eating an Adderall pill out of his puke, I was kind of like, I need a break. I need a little bit of a break from the show. And you know what? It was a mistake. I should have kept with it. It got better. The season got better. Love this show on season 1. Loved season 2 even more when I finally got around to it. It was too bad we didn't recap it, but here we are doing season 3, episode 1, Power Saver mode. And this was kind of screwing with our minds from the beginning.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we pretty much take place right after the events that happened in episode 2. I mean, season 2, the last where, and by the way, we're going to spoil the crap out of this. So if you guys have not watched it, don't watch this first. Go and watch the episode and come on back. So the end of season 2 ends with Elliot being shot by Tyrell in the stomach. And that's how we ended. It was like, holy crap, and we end up with, actually, I never caught the car salesman's name. Did you?
The car salesman's name is, I didn't catch it because I don't think they said
they never
it.
said who is. They never said his name.
Irving.
Irving. We start off with Irving at the Red Wheelbarrow, which, by the way, has delicious pork sliders because I had them at Comic-Con at the Red Wheelbarrow. And milkshakes, too. I had a chocolate shake while I was there. I actually got the chocolate shake. He wasn't able to get his chocolate shake.
Yeah, but did you pay $12.95 for it?
I did not. I paid nothing because you know why? I have eCoin.
Oh. Well, there you go. You know what? It would have cost about that much at Comic-Con, that's for sure.
Yeah, it would have. But yeah, he was getting his food, and he ends up receiving a call from Tyrell about, Tyrell visibly freaking, or understandably freaking out because he shot Elliot, and Elliot's dying. That's where we start off. Basically, is with Elliot shot and on the ground, and we have. Sorry, what was his name again? The car salesman. I keep forgetting.
Irving.
We have Irving going over to take care of things, basically calling an ambulance or a doctor over and patching Elliot back up. And then we also find out that Darlene has been released from the FBI and that the Dark Army is hunting her still. And we have Angela. She's quit E-Corps, of course, at this point, but she's working with other people, probably White Rose at this point. White Rose is definitely who she's working for. White Rose or Zhang, depending on what persona he's using at the time, is roaming around a E-Corps power plant. And this is where we get an interesting kind of diatribe from a guy leading a tour, talking about alternate realities, alternate universes.
Yeah.
All happening simultaneously, which we'll get to near the end here on our theory of things.
Yeah, well, I think they laid it out pretty clear
and thick.
And thick, which like you said in our pre-production meeting, it has to be a red herring. But we'll get to our theory at the end, so we don't we'll give you a chance to cut out if you don't want to hear what it is, because I'm still 50-50 on it, but if that was how they're going to end this, that will be totally cool. I am totally down with that, and I want to see it. We don't know where Trenton Mobley are. We last saw them at the end of last season. They were the last two people we saw when the Seinfeld fan who was in jail with Elliot asked them if they had the time. They were currently working at a Fry's
in Arizona.
Yeah, we don't know like how Darlene got let go, and that did not get answered this episode. We don't know if she did call somebody at some point, but we'll get to that. We don't know if she's wired.
If she's working for the FBI. Yeah,
she must be working for the FBI, but
since they're following her.
But just in the beginning, we got so much information. We got the weird theory by the guy giving the tour at the nuclear power plant. We also had Zhang in his Zhang persona talking to his number one, who was insisting on taking over stage 2 because of the unstable nature of Elliot and Tyrell. Well, also from last episode, the red herring of Tyrell being a part of Elliot's persona, excuse me, was ended, and we find out Tyrell is actually real. To what extent, we don't know, but we start out with Zhang talking to his number one, and he explains that Mr. Alderson had worked inadvertently on the project, whatever this project is that the Dark Army is working on.
And E-Corps. I think Dark Army and E-Corps are working together.
Dark Army and E-Corps are working on this, and after this scene, this first 3 minutes actually was put up early. We both got to watch it a couple times, and it was basically to introduce Irving to us. Played by, God, I can't remember his name, but the guy's in so much stuff. He was in Vinyl. Bobby Cannavale. Bobby Cannavale? Cannavale, who I love. He was great in this role. And that whole little and the red wheelbarrow comes from, and they even mention it later in the episode, it comes from Tyrell's poem that he remembers from his father about the red wheelbarrow. And they even did it in the catching us up little trailer in the beginning. So, I mean, we're laid more information than we probably got an entire season in the first 5 minutes, which leads me to believe this is just misdirection. But as we zoom in on Elliot's eye, we go through a little structure. And what did that structure look like to you, Dennis?
Well, yeah, we're coming out of, basically we're still inside the E-Corps plant. And as we move away from Zhang and his number one, we move into the bowels, I guess, if you will, of the plant. And we start moving out of what looks like a gigantic circular thing. And we're going through the middle of it. And we're backing out slowly, and we're going, keep going. And we back through what looks like water, and then we come out of Elliot's eye. So it looks like a Hadron Collider to me, is what that thing looks like.
It sure did. So they are laying it on really thick on this theory that we will get to later. Now, I don't know exactly. I mean, I'm assuming Irving is a car salesman just because the car he got into had pricing on it, and he's dressed like it. And
he's also giving out cards, and, he slipped one in the windshield.
Yeah. So, I guess, that's a pretty weird dark operative, but that kind of goes without saying. And there's also another weird thing that I'm going to point out, which I don't have the answer to. So it's an open-ended question to everybody out there: is who is the dude in the like the hazmat smock or whatever, always eating a sandwich?
He's eating the same sandwich too in the bag.
The same goddamn sandwich. And he was eating that sandwich when we first met White Rose, and he was in that little containment area. The first time Tyrell took Elliot to the stage 2 area, we were there overlooking the building where all the paper records go. He was there too, and he's still there. He's like a gatekeeper. So I don't know if there's like some weird matrixy black cat computer reference. I am not a part of hacker culture. This is something my oldest son could probably answer. I probably should ask him that once in a while.
Yeah, it actually,
no, just kidding.
And to me, he looks like a character in a video game that, it's one of those generic kind of characters that's just weird enough that you notice them, but they're always kind of there, and they're repeated in different areas, as you're going through video games. And that's what he reminds me of.
That's some boring game designer put in, so it's not just people doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. This show isn't short on weird and surrealism. And it's funny is like, as I'm watching the show now, it's not as weird as it was last year. And I don't think it's the show. It's just because I think things have just gotten weird since last year. Don't you?
Yeah.
Whatever side you're on,
unreal.
Haven't things gotten a little weird, Mama? We just had the Vegas shooting, not to get too dark. And we got
wildfires in Napa
burning down. It smells like if I open the window, smoke would come in. It's freaking horrible. And then Harvey Weinstein, we got Hollywood burning down a little bit right now. A lot of weird shit's going on, but I don't know. The show's still weird, and it feels faster paced than it was last year for sure. And we get Darlene coming in, and she wakes Elliot up, or no, it was Angela. Angela, sorry. Angela is with Elliot, and he is tripping that she's there. And it's a miracle that getting shot in the gut is like really the worst way to die, and also the easiest way to die and getting shot. So it's a miracle that just hit the side. I don't know. Did you ever think for a minute Elliot was actually going to die at the last season? I did.
mean, he's the entire show. So I mean, it's,
So,
and like, later on we find out that every vital, it missed every vital major organ that was in him. He couldn't have been shot better.
Now it's kind of a miracle. So Angela has a little talk with Elliot, and they talked about, she was just musing on whether they could erase everything and go back to like before their parents died. Again, laying this stuff on really thick, which leads me to believe it's misdirection. And Elliot has no idea what she's talking about. And she's really in on this ever since she had that really bizarre conversation with the White Rose last season with that little girl giving her questions on the computer. It seems like she's learned a truth, like she's been red pilled a little bit. And
well, you know who the little girl is supposedly supposed to be?
It's
supposed to be her. That's the little girl.
Yeah. So
in an alternate universe.
Well, and we could be. I mean, let's just go there. We could be in multiple universes within this show. I mean, we already did the 90s episode, which was so good. That might be my favorite episode, by the way, is the flashback 90s episode. And then, the jail reveal, which was just mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. And that was better than, Fight Club to me.
And the fact that, he's in jail for 18 months for stealing the dog.
Yeah.
Versus what he actually does that, really fucked up the entire world. And he's just in jail for 18 months for stealing the dog. I thought that was kind of comical.
It is comical and more true in certain subjects, certain circumstances than you would know. Yes. And I know way too much about that, and I shouldn't talk about that here. But go watch our American Gods podcast if you want to know the full story on that one. So, Angela's actually very strange, though. I mean, just really strange. Now, her descent into like almost madness. I mean, she's super insecure, and this, it goes deeper than this, but it all comes from when that E Corp guy just completely destroyed her in that meeting in season 1, and it's just been a downward spiral for her. And Elliot tries to kiss her, and she backs it off. And then we get the monologue of like, yeah, it hurts, but this is Angela. She always,
she pushes away the ones that love her, and she loves the ones that don't love her back.
Now, what do you think? I mean, just guess your best guess. What do you think White Rose told Angela?
That basically she can get her mom back.
And this world we're in is not real, or we can access other worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still not sure. I didn't know that this show might go this direction.
I didn't either. I wasn't still, if they're gonna go, let's just pull this thing out of the bag right now. Why don't we just pull the cat out of the bag? If they are using this Hadron Collider to basically remake the world and either collapse all the universes altogether or just rebuild it completely to what they like, what the people in charge want to have happen, I think it'd be pretty ballsy, to tell you the truth, to start it off as this whole hacker show and then bring it into complete and total sci-fi.
Well, you're basically hacking the mind. You're hacking reality.
Yeah.
And the only question and this is a physics and scientific question that I have no answer for, is how do you do that with, they've talked about access, like you can access somebody else's mind, but you can't access their actual physical body. So they can't like wipe out reality. Or can they? I mean, is this just a digital reality like some think it is?
By the way, that was just disproven this week, by the way, by theorists, that we are not in a simulation.
Okay, well, we're monkeys banging on keyboards. So whatever's disproven now will be proven later. I have no idea what is real except for what's exactly in front of me. So there you go. But and that's the kind of thing when you do kind of a trend-based topical thing. That's why it's better that they just go in the sci-fi angle, which I think is really cool. That is really bizarre to do, like this kind of linear. Well, it's not super linear. It's Art Nouveau, but a linear TV show about hackers and take it into alternate realities and sci-fi. That is super cool. I love it. If they go that direction, I don't know. I'm really excited about this though, because I wasn't sure where they were going to go. Is it just going to be a crime thing? Is this just a revenge story? But I remember White Rose talking to Elliot before, and he's like, what's your motivation? And I'm paraphrasing here. She says, oh, I hope it's not something as simple as revenge. That's just too basic, So, Zhang has become quite a big character. I thought that we would maybe see that character once or twice again. And I actually like the character. I think it's a really well played character and interesting.
I like the actor, BD Wong. He's
great.
Fucking awesome. Yeah.
Really good. But we get, Darlene comes in and again, she just showed up in a room, and I don't know. We didn't even get the, I don't know the FBI agent's name.
She's in his apartment.
In his apartment. Yeah. And like everything, like the world's falling apart around him. And this is where we get the scene where it's been a while since we got one of these, but Elliot's little rants. And it kind of brought us up to speed where we are politically, because like I just mentioned, the world has changed quite a bit in the last year. And it brought in Trump and the current politics. But I mean, to me anyway, and I am actually sensitive to this stuff, I don't, it works within the frame of this show. I don't mind politics and stuff, but I think when you get to current topical politics, it tends to date your story and hurts rewatchability and also takes you out of the story. But in the context of Mr. Robot, I think it works just fine. Didn't bother me at all.
Wait, he was talking more about,
he was talking about his responsibility and God dang it. Man, I might have to edit this one. He was talking about, what was to blame and really kind of absolving E Corp of their evilness a little bit. And he realized that this aspect of Elliot, he blames himself now. And that whole scene where his rant is over and he's back in the red wheelbarrow and he just goes, oh shit. Does he say, oh fuck, or oh shit? I can't remember.
No, he doesn't say anything. He's just sitting there. And
I thought he said, oh shit. Maybe I said it in my head. I don't know. And we're trying not to cuss this podcast, but that was just rad. I thought that whole scene was killer.
I'm not. I'm cussing quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, you don't. Well, oh well. So much for that.
But yeah, he just basically, he comes to a realization that yes, he needs to fix everything that he just messed up. And that's when he's asked to leave the red wheelbarrow because they're closing.
Yes, by the same girl who wouldn't give Irving his chocolate shake.
Yes.
So he ends up with going back to his apartment after the rant, and he has to go Angela's apartment, and that's where he decides to. She talks him down, and when is he with Darlene then?
He's only with Darlene in his apartment, and
no, they go down ways. To that. They go to the hacker
thing. Yeah, and so the hacker place where he closes the back door.
Yeah,
he opened up.
So she saw him in his apartment after the rant, and they went down to the one place where I guess there's still power, and
they have a dedicated fiber optic line.
Yeah, and they're playing that capture the flag. And he walks in and kind of solves the problem like that, and just to get a computer, and he shuts down the back. Yeah, he shuts down the back door for stage 2. Now, I kind of thought he didn't succeed in that because as soon as they walked in, there was a couple of Dark Army guys right there, and Darlene starts freaking out. And that's when she runs in the bathroom and makes a phone call. I'm pretty sure that phone call was to the FBI agent.
Yeah, I think so. Basically what happened was he was able to close the back door. He was actually going to restart everything again. And that was what his second part of that operation was before they turned off the computer on him.
Yeah. Okay. So he was, and we find out later he was able to to close the back door, but I thought at the time that he wasn't able to finish it. Now, she's obviously working with the FBI agent. I just don't know to what extent. I don't know if she's wired. When Angela was in the apartment with Elliot, she was hitting him up with a lot of questions, and you think he might have been suspicious of that. I don't know. Like a lot of aspects of his personality are paranoid. So I would have been, but maybe he's got his guard down with his sister, and she is right. He is a shitty brother because when she says Cisco is dead, he's just like, "Who'd you talk to? What'd you tell the FBI?" Yeah. It's like fucking dick. Oh my God. So after they shut that down, the Dark Army grabs him, and then we get Irving back, and
it was kind of a weird scene because the Dark Army grabs them, walks them outside, and says, "We're going to drive the car around and pick you up," kind of thing. And they leave them in the alley, and they start walking down the alley, and that's when Irving shows up in a taxi. He's like, "Get in, the FBI is running around the corner." So it's like, what the hell? That little scene right there was just kind of weird. It didn't make any sense to me why the Dark Army would just grab them and then leave them to go and grab their car.
Well,
it just didn't make any sense.
We're assuming. Okay, so Irving is with Tyrell. Have we seen
the White Rose?
What is he?
Yeah, because he walked in where the hazmat suit guy was. The hazmat suit guy just let him right in, who works for White Rose. And
so that's the only connection. So that's what I'm assuming too. But my question is, have we seen Tyrell and the White Rose together? The only connection we have is the hazmat guy eating the sandwich. That's the only thing that connects. Now, the gist I got out of that was maybe he's not working for the Dark Army. Now, he probably is. Yeah. But there's a question there. There's definitely a question there, and that's what I got out of it. And then I started going, oh. But the thing is, I've seen scenes, and they cut a scene, and it could be just a trailer, and it has nothing to do with it, but it does show Zhang and Tyrell together at some point. So
okay,
kind of that's probably a moot point. But it's kind of making it look like they're split off and there's another faction. Now, we do know there's the E-Corp faction, which we did not see this episode. This episode was purely centered around just Elliot and introducing Irving.
Yeah.
Giving a little bit of Zhang. We still have a lot of characters to hear from. So we haven't seen Mr. Robot yet at this point.
As Elliot says, he doesn't know if the bullet killed Mr. Robot or what's happened, but he doesn't feel him, doesn't access him.
Yep.
Which is kind of an odd thing. And then we have going back, he goes back to Angela's apartment, and that's where the whole kissing thing almost happens. And Angela's like, no. And he says he wants to shut the back door or finish shutting the back door. And she's like, well, that's why he needs an in. He needs a job at E-Corps. He wants her to get him a job there so he can finish the job, so he can go inside and do what he needs to be done. She doesn't think it's a good idea, but she says she'll try. and then she asks him to stay overnight, overnight in the apartment because she doesn't feel safe, as she says, which we find out is a big ruse because once Elliot falls asleep, that's when Mr. Robot comes back.
Yep. And Angela can identify him immediately. And it's just, she says, you're looking at me when you talk to me.
You don't look away.
You don't. And, when we get to our theory later, there's one chink in it, but, Mr. Robot's a dick. He's a dick.
He's a big dick. Yeah.
And I freaking love Christian Slater. I've always loved Christian Slater. Christian Slater and I were born on the very same day, 2 hours apart. We even smoked our cigarettes the same way, and we've both had similar problems in our past. Now, I did not make it as a very successful actor in classic movies like Heather, but that's our connection. And he was born in New York, and I was born in California, but we are almost to the minute, exactly the same age. Dude, he is so great. I'm glad to see him come back. I mean, he's done some other stuff, but this, he owns this role. It is so freaking cool. And remember when Christian Slater was young, what did people always call him? The young Jack Nicholson. Yes. And it's starting to come out now in his adulthood. And he still looks really young. I mean, he's we're 48, he still looks really young. So he trips out a little bit that Angela can identify him real quick. But, obviously Elliot doesn't need a lot of sleep because Mr. Robot has been doing this from the beginning. But Angela says something very interesting, that Elliot is the one who started this, but he didn't answer. She's all Elliot's the one who started it. I don't know if it was more of a statement or a question. I'll have to go back. I only watched this one.
More of a statement. She didn't do it as a question. And
just real quick, we only watch these. We don't get some early screening. We watch these episodes once, and we give you just our. This is what this podcast is based on, and we give you our initial fresh reaction without being, without thinking about it too much. It's just kind of off the cuff, obviously unscripted, and so obviously. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that, about the questioning part of it, but he didn't answer. He just kind of went, So we don't know who actually initiated this. That's the great thing about the show is because you're in it, and if it's done well, always questioning your reality is a lot of fun to play with. Doctor Who at times did this when it was in its prime. Stephen Moffat, back when he wrote for Tenet, was really good at playing with time and with reality. And yeah, this is the kind of stuff I love. As long as they make it enjoyable and we don't get bogged down with it. It seems to me that going with our theory, and let's just roll with it anyway.
Yeah.
That it's actually Mr. Robot, Elliot's dad, who started this. And based on what we've seen in one episode, now this could all change after the next episode. And this is going to be kind of spoiler, but and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who are completely with us on this. It looks like they're playing with realities, and Dennis and I think Elliot is dead. Now,
well, Elliot in one universe is
this
dead.
Elliot, but the Elliot in another universe is dead. And this is kind of, I don't know if anybody out there has seen Frequency, not the damn TV show, but the movie, who was secretly written by a friend of mine named William Selby. And it seems to me a lot like that, like a father trying to get in touch with a version of his son. Now, if you go back and rewatch, which before I did this podcast, I went back and rewatched seasons 1 and 2 twice, each episode twice, all the way through. And I still don't totally know what's going on, but there's a lot of alluding to the fact that this stuff isn't real. And
especially since Mr. Robot, when he and Angela are speaking, he says, due to Elliot's special condition, that's how he can take over and basically work in this universe. So we were speculating that Mr. Robot, when Elliot fell out the window when he was a kid, when his father pushed him out the window there, that the Mr. Robot that we're seeing, Elliot died in that reality, in that universe. Whereas in this universe, Elliot survived, but his father died later on of cancer or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Well,
Trying to make this universe work. And I think what his father, the father in the universe that's inhabiting him, was taking over his father in this universe to work on that collider.
Well, and if you go back to White Rose from last season when she told Angela, like, well, what she said, well, what it depends on what you think real is. You know, that's when I first started thinking of it. I know there was other stuff. I kind of thought there was a Matrix vibe to this for sure from episode 1. I'm sure everybody else has too. But Zhang's or White Rose's obsession with time means something, because when that guy was giving the tour in E Corp and talking about the multiple realities, he was talking about that these realities are happening at the same time. So this isn't actually like a Doctor Who time thing. Time is happening concurrently in whatever different universe. So that's why, Mr. Robot always says we're running out of time. We don't have much time. And then there's a lot of that especially when you go binge watch this. And then White Rose's obsession with time. It's important that they hit certain marks at the right time, because you can't just access anybody all the time. And maybe you can't just access anybody. They got to have a condition. Now that condition just could be simply multiple personality disorder. And there's a way to access through it, or addiction or something.
Because remember, we see Angela packing up a little pack, and Mr. Robot says, "What is that for?" She says, "This is in case Elliot comes back."
Yeah, and what was it? I didn't even see what it was. Was it like a bottle of pills or something? Or
no, it was a syringe. So I think
okay, so it was a drug. Okay,
and I think it's just basically something to knock him out, because remember, when he fell asleep, Mr. Robot came back, and I think that's what it is he has to be asleep for Mr. Robot to take over.
Yeah, and Mr. Robot doesn't have a lot of compassion for Elliot, and he's just like, he's getting in the way. But there's at times he does, but we don't know if that's actually Mr. Robot or Elliot actually just seeing his father in his imagination, or we don't know.
I think he is seeing a version of his father in his that break from reality, if you will, because I think he is getting a little crossover bleed from the universe, taking over, and that's why he knows what Mr. Robot is doing with his body every now. Remember, he said in season 2, because if I think about it hard enough, I can almost get what's going on. I can almost see what happened.
Yeah. Well, and then the whole at the end of season 1, when Tyrell's at the computer, he's like, it's like there's something alive here, and then Elliot talking to Tyrell for the first time right after Tyrell tells him about the red wheelbarrow, that he's like, oh, you're not looking in every direction. You're not looking above, basically. You're not seeing what's above you. And the writer, what helps a lot is a smart writer. This guy is like insanely smart and clever. And I don't know what this guy did before, but where the hell has he been? Like this, he's been saving this up, because this is incredible television. This is wow. I know I have a lot of favorite shows, but there's so much good TV. But dude, this is better than any movie. This is like more sophisticated writing wise than any movie. And again, I love this kind of story. I'm a big fan of freaking Fight Club. I love The Matrix. I love when reality is questioned. I think that's Fisher King, anything by Terry Gilliam. A little bit of the dropping a little bit of acid, maybe having some fun, squeegeeing up that third eye. Those were good times. Yeah, LSD, kids, it's bad for you. Don't take it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. You get flashbacks at the worst time.
Yeah, he actually has not done quite a lot, to tell you the truth. So he's a fairly new writer, if you will. I mean, he's only got 6 credits to his name. He did a movie called Comet, another one called Mockingbird, and then Mr. Robot, and then he's got 3 others that are been announced and or in pre-production.
Yeah, I am curious about this guy, because dude, he is good. I mean, like really good. And then he directs all these episodes too. and his direction is top notch, and it's original. I mean, I know it, like, this stuff has been done before, but the way that he directs, like we mentioned this, that we have podcasted this before. Back at a Comic-Con one, we did like a season 1 wrap up, and it makes you feel a little off, he's also shooting things wrong. It's like definitely stuff you wouldn't be taught in school, because you're supposed to like leave it. Oh, like the area I'm shooting this wrong too. I should be shooting it like this, because the area I'm talking to should be more open. So we're doing very Mr. Robot when I'm doing something like this, but and it plays with that, and it just makes things feel surreal and off a little bit. And that's just the aesthetics of the show are fun and amazing. And for a show that's got such dark subject matter, it actually doesn't feel like heavy, does it? I mean, it's got the light moments. It
feels
really
heavy,
funny humor.
It feels heavy. That's why you had to bail out on,
Yeah, but I mean, I got, there are episodes that are definitely just completely dark and sick, but then there's the 90s episode, and there's moments
that was
of
still
levity.
Dark and sick too, and that's
yeah, but not in a pulling Adderall out of your puke, which I haven't pulled Adderall out of my puke. I don't want to share this. I've done some pretty disgusting things in in the thralls of my addiction. Back to that. Grateful recovering addict, by the way, friend of Bill W. And work knows about it, doxers. So who cares? But yeah, that stuff. I mean, like, just being reminded of that stuff was like, whoo. I need a minute. That's all I needed, was that, I'm not like super sensitive to it, and I don't get triggered by drugs, but by watching people do drugs and stuff. It was a good reminder of how miserable it can be. And that shit is real, by the way. That is like, he must have done drugs. Maybe he's a grateful recovering addict. He knows an awful lot about them. I'll tell you that right now. And he knew an awful lot about jail too.
Yeah.
Really, really good on that. So I don't know. So so Mr. Robot gets back to work, and it looks like he opens up the back door again.
Well, yeah, we see Angela is working with Irving, and we find out that she is also working with White Rose, of course, to be Elliot's handler, if you will, his manager, as she calls it. And we bring down Mr. Robot to where Tyrell has now been moved to, a new location, and he has computer access. And Mr. Robot sits down at the computer and basically says, let's begin. Then that's where we end this episode.
Yeah, well, and Mr. Robot does talk to Angela in the bus.
Yes.
And the lights are coming on. The street lights are coming on as the bus drives down the street. And there's definitely something to that. Yeah, the
power's been out for a week. So the power, is, he asks her, he says, what do you get out of this? Why are you doing this? She goes, I'm not going to talk to you like I talk to him. And he goes, how do you know you're not talking to me? You're talking to him right now. She goes, because what did he say? How do you lie to him? How do you lie to him? She goes, I'm not lying to him. I'm looking right at him.
Yep.
And he goes, that's a really neat rationalization that you have there.
Oh, that was cool how they cut the scene and it was actually Elliot there.
Yeah.
Where it ended, I wanted more, by the way.
Oh yeah. I always want more for the
episode. But again, I am fearful that this is just not fearful. I'm not going to be up at night, but I kind of want this to happen. Like, now that they've teased me with it, it's like, I hope they don't come back and go, no, they were just lying to these kids to manipulate them, and it was just about money. That'd be really disappointing I guess that'd be the one aspect to be disappointing. But when he asked her why she was doing it, it was basically for revenge. That's it.
Yeah. Well, also to get her mom back. That was really what it was.
But how would she get her mom back? Now, would she have to take over another Angela? Because that would be another Angela.
Well, we saw
independent Angela.
Her as a little girl, typing on the keyboard. So, I mean, that might be it. I mean,
we're pretty sure that was her as a little girl, but we're not 100% sure. Well, I hope so. Or White Rose has a little girl secretary and is keeping her against her will or something. I don't know. That was so weird.
My other theory that I also have too is that White Rose and Mr. Zhang are two different people, two different universes people, but they're the same person, just different universes.
That's interesting. I like that. Yeah, that would be crazy,
wouldn't it?
Oh yeah,
they're
that's
working in the same universe. Because we never see him dressed as, we haven't seen White Rose in a while. We've seen Mr. Zhang quite a bit.
But we see him in public. You know, White Rose is more of, yeah, we only see him. He's the public persona because remember, he's a high level politician there.
But that could be the two factions that we're talking about. Is Mr. Zhang's working with E-Corp?
Oh,
and White Rose.
There are two different dark armies.
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
Wow.
I like that. Very good.
Wow. Okay.
Well played, Dennis.
I had to work through it like Elliot did.
No.
Just find that thing's being played.
That's good. That's rad. I like that idea. Let's stick with that one. So yeah, this is a great show. This is a great show. We are blessed with so much great TV. Yeah, there's a lot of crap out there. Just don't watch it. Watch the good stuff. Yeah, especially it's nice to, oh my God, we needed, because we're covering, for the first time, we're covering shows we don't like. We usually don't do that. And that's not something we're gonna do often. But we're covering the Inhumans and Star Trek Discovery, not loving either of those shows. I'm hoping for the best with Star Trek Discovery, but I know what I'm going to get with Inhumans. And both of those, somebody actually asked in our comments, like, why do we even continue doing them? It's therapy. It's for the cathartic reasons.
But didn't I answer it? I said it's like a train wreck that's happening in slow motion. You just kind of have to watch.
And we're getting a response. And, it's also, we're an alternative to those, Star Trek is getting a lot of videos that hate on it, but there are some that like it too. And we're also, we're going to tell you what you think. You're not always going to agree with us, and that's cool, but we love you commenting. We love it. We hit 500 subscribers today. That is just badass. Yes. We are so happy. Thank you so much. We started this little project back in February. We've had the channel for a while, but we never focused on it. We decided to focus on it in February. And I know we do stuff kind of different here. Not in the sense of we're just a couple of, Joes talking about TV and movies, but we go long form, and we don't write our stuff out. We don't think our stuff. We take little notes while we're watching our show, but we're off the cuff, and we ramble. We're basically a comics. We don't ramble. What are you talking about? We are, when we conceived of this podcast, it was essentially right after I closed my comic store. The most fun I had in the comic store was talking to my customers and my friends about the comic books and TV shows. So these are just the conversations we had at the comic store, just at home. That's all.
And they tend to be long, rambling, and go in different directions. And that's kind of what we carried over. Honestly, we were both, what was it? I was up, in San Francisco for a funeral. Gary was just getting over the store being closed, and also, going through some stuff as well. And we're like, you know what, man, let's just get together and just have some fun. And we recorded one of our conversations, and that's kind of what this all started.
Yeah. Our first podcast was in a Starbucks in West Portal in San Francisco.
On a rainy night.
Noise and everything on a rainy night, January 5th. 2014, I believe, coming up on our 4th anniversary. Yeah. So the store, I closed the store is still there. I'm sure Brian Hibbs would want to jump out and say it's still open. I sold it, but it's still closed. My version of it closed, and it was sad. I was very sad. Now, what happened to Dennis was worse. But yeah, we needed something fun to talk about that night, and that's how this podcast came to be. And sometimes we reset that, so please forgive us. But yeah, man, anything else you want to talk about this particular show before we sign off?
No, I think we hit all the notes, and having that revelation about White Rose and Mr. Zhang was actually pretty damn good. I think
we had to work our way to it. That was awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Man. Gosh dang it. All of our podcasts can be found at nerdrotic.com, and you are obviously on the Nerdrotic channel. Dennis has a Twitter. It's at DeForce. Please follow and talk to him. I have a Twitter. It's at Nerdrotics. All of our links will be in the description below when I put them in there. We do have a Patreon now, but I haven't done anything with it. So, if you want to pledge, cool. If not, you want to wait, that's cool. I gotta get the tiered system built. It happened a lot quicker than I expected. So
we don't take eCoin at the moment, but
you never know.
We never know, depending on how things go with the.
But we do take Szechuan sauce.
We do take well, you know what? Szechuan sauce is going to be available fairly soon, anyway, like everywhere again.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah,
I liked it when it was in demand.
20 packets.
Oh my god, you see that one video, the guy who put the shirt on his head and jumped
the
up
Pickle Rick thing?
Yeah, the Pickle Rick guy. That was freaking hilarious, man. Oh god, we need stuff like that right now. So yeah, that's all. Again, all of our links are in the description. Dennis, take us out.
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America.
May the small folks sing songs of your greatness, and we will see you for the Inhumans on Friday. Bye-bye.
Yes.